Okay. Excuse me. I'm going to show you how to draft a facing. I have been working on a pair of pants. I bought these pants when I worked at J.C. Penney's back in 1974, and I just absolutely loved them. They were actually out of a woven fabric, and they had about 1 inch buttons on the left side. So I'm going to try and recreate those because I just really like the style. Now they were a faced pant, so I'm in here in my design area where I'm going to design my pants, and you can get that into the garments, pants. So I'm here and I'm just going to do a classic pair of pants with darts. I want one dart in the front, two darts in the back. Now I want a trouser cut because it's going to give me a wider leg, which is what I want on this particular style. You could do something like a slack cut, which would bring it in some. The culotte cut's going to be really large. You could do a jeans cut, which is really going to bring it in. However, for this particular style, either a trouser cut or a slack cut is going to work better. And because I'm real slender, I'm going to select a slack cut. Now I want a slim cut pant leg, maybe not. No, let's do a straight. Okay, front crotch, I got a tummy. Back crotch, I have no tush, no pockets, no change on the details. Settings, we're going to do it at 0 seam allowance so we can get in here and make changes. I've already got my knee length in here. My, where's the inseam? Oh, hip depth. Probably need to change that. Anything else? Thought that we had. I'm taking this hippies down to 1.5 because it hooches out too much. Normal hip ease would be 2.5, but it creates too much of an arc in here, and I don't have that much fullness in my hip area. So I'm going to take that ease down about another inch. So I'm going to go to 1.5, and that'll pull this in a little bit more for my slender frame. Inseam length 28, knee length 22. Okay, let's go ahead and save this. I'm going to save it as my side button pants, and because I've already been working on one, I'm going to name this number 2. Okay. You would probably open that up in your pattern editor. I've already got something open, so let me go and open that up. Yes, clear my drawing. Okay, here's what we have. These are the facings that go along with the various pant pieces. This one is your front facing. This one is your back facing. Here's the back because we put 2 darts in the back. So this facing goes here. And here's the front here. Now I need to do some modifications in here on these side seams to give, especially on the left side seam. But just for a demonstration, I'm going to show you excuse me, how you, if you didn't like the way that the facing was constructed, how you would reconstruct a facing. Now you can do this on any pattern. It doesn't have to be in the digitized software version of a pattern. You can take a regular pattern and do this too. Just trace off your pattern onto some tissue paper. I go to Michael's and get a big package of it for like $6, $7. And I use it all the time when I'm creating my pattern pieces for what I'm making. Now, what you're going to do here, we need to close up these darts, because once these pant pieces on your fabric have been sewn up, then this extra fabric in through here is no longer going to be available, or necessary rather, for to be in the facing. So if you take your facing over here, line it up a little bit, and now we're going to rotate it. This will be our pivot point right here. Now let's just rotate it down a little bit so it fits on there. See, it's short. That's because this extra fabric right here and this extra fabric right here has been removed. So let's ZO and zoom out. Let's get that puppy out of our way. So what we're going to do, we're going to create some breaks in the pattern. What we want to do is to create a line, so LI, and let's zoom window first. Okay, we're going to create a line from here. I might want to zoom out a little bit. Yeah, I do. Let's go down, use my arrow keys. Okay, I want to do a line from here. Yeah, about right here will be fine. And let's hit our space bar and do it again for this dart over here. Try to get it in the middle of the dart. Now, it's not actually going to matter too much at this point. We're going to manipulate this a little bit further. Here's our line. Let's intersect it. We're going to intersect it with this. Come on, puppy. Oh, sorry. I am grouped still. Maybe not. Yes, I am. Let's ungroup that. Now let's do it. Intersect. Click on the line to be shortened. Intersect with this point up here. Now let's move it and get it right on that point. Intersect it again. Now let's go down. Let's zoom out. Let's go down, use your arrow key, zoom out some more. We want to get to the hemline. Okay, now we're going to intersect again. And this is the line we were working on, and we're going to take it down to the hemline. Okay, now we're going to keep on repeating that process. Intersect, IN, this one to the waistline, space bar, this down to the hemline. Let's zoom window, ZW, get in here and look around. I want this guy out of my way. Let's see how close I can get him. A little bit more. Okay. Now we were actually pretty close here. That's better. Let's get up to real close. And now let's move in into place. You do want to be exact on this. Let's intersect again here and here. What happened? Okay, zoom previous didn't give us what we needed. Let's zoom out. Go down with your arrow key, do an intersect again with this and that. All right, now we're prepared. I want to get this out of the way some more. we are going to do some slash and pivots. Okay, everything is ungrouped, which is very important. Let's move the wording out of the way. Put them over there. Right here, this little marker, point, it's not a marker, it's a point. And this point here are going to be our pivot lines. So we need to do a SV. Let me make sure I know what I'm talking about here. This is the first point of our pivot line. This is going to be the other end because we're going to take this side of the dart and move it over here. Now we need to select the lines that we want moved. We want this line, hold down your control key, select another line, and keep on going around and selecting your lines. Now you do have to be real precise here because the system requires precision on this particular exercise. Now here we want to collect all of that, so hold down your shift key, click, hold, and drag around it. That'll select it. Go down some more, use your arrow key, hold down your control key, grab this line, this line, this line. Use your arrow key, keep on going down. Don't worry about that horizontal line, that's your knee placement. Okay, we've gotten everything that we want selected. Now I've already measured the distance between here and here, and it's 0.3, I believe. Let's hit apply. Ah, fudge. Try it again. SV for slash and pivot. First point, second point, select your lines. You might try holding down your control key first before you start making any selections. I've done that and it's given me some success. The main thing to remember in this particular exercise is your first selection cannot be in dead space, or it messes up the process for slash and pivot, and you have to go through it all over again. It is a pain in the neck. Let's get this guy here. He don't want to be got. Let's try shift. That might have messed it up. We might have to go back and redo it. Okay. Maybe not. 0.3. We're going to go counterclockwise because I want this point to move that way, to the left. If it's to the left, counterclockwise. To the right, clockwise. Okay. Let's zoom the window. Look at this. Almost. Let's go back and remeasure. You know what? I've done it this way before. Let's do a line and some intersections. We're going to put a line from here to here. Let's intersect here to here. Do it again. Hit your space key here to here. Now let's see how big that line is. 0.276. Ah, okay. Zoom previous. We're going to zoom right in through here. All right, SB slash and pivot. Here's our our pivot point. Here is the other end of the pivot point. Now we got to start. Let's zoom in a little bit. Let's start selecting our lines. Hold down your control key. Get a big line first. And then try selecting your smaller lines. Don't be afraid to go to the side and do your zooms. I don't think your keyboard shortcut keys for your zooms will work while you're in the middle of another process. So, but the icons do work. Now we're going to hold down our shift key and get this point and that notch. Control key, get that. Control key, get that. That's what we're going to do. And what, oh my gosh, what did we say it was? 0.27? Oh. Tell you one thing we can do. Control key, let's get that line. Nope, that didn't help. Actually, it will help. Okay, what I'm going to do here is to calculate. When I have it selected, hold down shift key, get that line, and that line. When I have that selected, it's 134,676. Hold on. 134.676, and then I can minus out the two lengths here. So hold down my shift key, deselect, and deselect 134,399. .277. Knew I could do that. Okay, so we're going to apply 0.277 counterclockwise. Aha, worked perfectly. This line that used to be over here, it didn't work perfectly. I missed something. Fiddle. Okay, one more time. Slash on my pivot line. Slash on the other pivot line. We know it's 0.2779, right? Now we select our objects. Control key. My dog's outside barking. Goofy thing. Shift key, gather these points and notches. Control key, that one and that one. We know we're not messing with the hems. Apply. 0.279 counterclockwise and apply. That did it. Okay, see now, so everything is up here. So now we're going to do the same for this. We're going to slash and pivot. Going to start it here. Here's the other end. Now we're going to start collecting our lines. We don't need to mess with anything here. Hold down shift key, get these points, control key here and here. We don't need to mess with anything up there. And I'm hoping it's the same distance. 0.279 counterclockwise. apply. Yep. Okay, now we've got that all done. We've closed up these darts, so we know what the actual waistline right through here is going to be when it's sewn up. Now we need to start creating our facing. Can't be easier. If you were doing this with tissue paper, hit the wrong key, sorry about that. Okay, if you're doing this with tissue paper, what I would do, trace off about trace off down to your dart points and a little bit below, maybe down to the crotch level. And then that way you can go ahead and cut up to here and leave a little hinge right here, and then cut down, sorry, cut down from here to here, cut up from here to here, but just leave maybe about 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch as a hinge. Do the same thing over here. Cut from here to the point, leave a little hinge, and then cut this to the end of your tissue paper. That way when you move this over, it's going to expand down here and not tear. You need to have a release where you're pulling in tension here. You need to have a release of that tension somewhere else, and this right here is going to be where you release your tension. All right. Now let's make a facing. So what we're going to do, we've got this line here as our waistline. We want to offset this. We're going to do a 2.5 inch facing. Just like you do when you're doing your seam, putting your seam allowances back in. Okay, so that's done. Let's get in here a little bit. Now, just because it looks like there's a dart there, there isn't. Remember, we took it down from this point and up to this point and moved everything over to the far point. So don't think that there's a dart in there that you have to worry about. Let's do some intersecting. Continue it, just intersect all of these points. Intersect it there. Okay. Now we need to do some breaks. We're going to break this line here at this point here. Just hit it twice. That puts a little break in it. We're going to do the same with this line right here. Now, we need to make a copy of this, 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 and all of this. Now let's zoom out so we have room to position it. Create object, one copy, pull it over here. Now we do want to get our grain line in. Oops, I went the wrong way, sorry. We want to get this grain line in, so let me zoom out a little bit. If you notice, I pulled this just straight across. It's not tilted or rotated or anything like that. I want to get this grain line. Let's get that. Copy object 1. Let's pull it over here so I can work with it. Now I need to reduce this substantially. So to reduce it, it is SZ. We want to shrink it vertically by about 80%. See what that does. Still too big. Let's take it down maybe, what, another 60%? That'll work. Maybe. Still might be a little bit big. Let's shrink it another 20%. That's better. Okay, so now we have our back facing. We need to actually put some text in. That's not a grain line, is it? What is that? Should have made a copy of these too. I probably should have said that earlier, is to make a copy of your original pattern pieces, so you don't have to re-rotate them back to where they were. Let's try this. Oh, that's still grouped. Sorry, wrong. Much better. I'm going to decrease its size considerably. Shrink it by 90%. Now we're going to shrink it by another 20%. We might be right, because it might be shrinking those points too. Let me go back out. Let's just shrink this. Much better. You have to not take the arrow portion in, I guess. See, I still learn something every time I do this. So you need to not bring this arrow portion into your shrink. Now see, when we go right straight down, it lines right up. See, that's canted, that's canted. It just means it goes off in a different direction. It doesn't mean it rotates in any way. Let's take this down a little bit more. Oops. Let's take it down another 25%. And then we come back in here. Bring him down. Pull him up. Zoom out, ZO. Take both. Let's group them. Control G. And now let's zoom out some more. Let's put him in there instead. Yeah, see, look what happened. That used to be the arrows. And you can't do it, shrink it vertically when the arrows are attached. Okay, new lesson. Okay, so we've got our facing. Let's get that little X out of there. We've got our facing. I zoom selected, and now I'm zooming out. Now we need to do some offsetting to get our seam allowances. Just keep hitting your space key. That's a handy little shortcut. Learn to use it. And you keep going around. Now remember from the other video, You have to do a lot of intersecting here now. Okay, so we're done with that. Let's do some intersecting. You intersect this to the top of it, the side to the side. Don't forget to keep your eye on your instructions up here. We're intersecting. Click on the line to lengthen or shorten. Now what I do, I can always tell when it's worked or when it changes instruction because I can see it out of my peripheral vision. So when I see this instruction up here change out of my peripheral vision, then I know I can move on. And last one, let's put some text in here. And this is the back facing. Apply. Now we're gonna put, so we put a grain line in, but we need to note which is the center back and the center front. So right here, let's zoom selected. If it's not working, hit your escape key. Oh, I didn't have anything selected. Duh. Okay. This right here is going to be the center back right here. So let's put the text in and we'll rotate it. Center back seam. Okay. Rotate it. We're going to do it on the little X. And let me see if I can grab it. I might have really messed it up here. Okay, let's undo it. And pull him out of the way some, and then redo it. Rotate him here. That'll work. Sometimes you just gotta play around. This is a very precise pattern, drafting program, so you gotta kind of play around with it. Now, that is, once you group it all back together, Control G for group. Alright, that is your back facing, center back seam. Here's your grain line right here, center back seam, back facing. You could probably put a notch here if you wanted, but it's really not necessary. Put a notch here. It's really not necessary, but if you like your notches, and sometimes I do like my notches, then by all means put a notch there. Just make sure if you put a notch in the facing, put a notch the same place in your actual pant leg pattern, so that you know that it'll match up. At least you'll have that. Now to do the front facing, you're going to do the same thing. Lucky for you, you only have one dart that you've got to contend with. So remember, take a line from the center of the dart, draw it down to here, do some intersecting of that line to the waistline and down to the hemline. Zoom in, get it precisely set right on the center of the dart. Then you're going to do your pivots and slides from the dart point up. You're not going to have that much of a difference on this. So if you don't like the way that the facings have been drafted, or if you're just to have a pattern that you don't want a waistband on, instead you want to put a facing on, you can eliminate a straight grained waistband on any pattern and apply a facing to it instead by using this method, whether you do it in Pattern Master Boutique or you have your own tissue that you need to do it with. So that's the end of how to draft a facing when you don't have a facing pattern, or if you're changing your pant style over. Thanks for watching. Hope you had a good night. Good night.